Quick introduction here because we're running a little bit behind schedule, but Shaw Precast Solutions first introduced peat treatment technology to the marketplace in 2003. We were a pioneer in the peat business. New and exciting peat technology is currently being offered and supplied to the water and wastewater marketplace. EcoFlow peat systems are lighter, less expensive, and easier to install than other C2 and C3 technologies. And we're proud to have supplied more than 160 successful EcoFlow installations inside Nova Scotia. The EcoFlow system is an excellent alternative to standard disposal fields, and it can be adapted to all types of sites and often significantly reduces the surface area needed to install an individual wastewater treatment system. We have here with us this morning a number of Premier Tech employees. I'm going to read Danielle Bourgeois is the General Manager for Premier Tech Aqua. Marie-Christine Boulanger is the Technological Development Director. And Michelle Lemieux is the Market Development Director, is in the audience. So thank you all for coming, and I'll just turn the floor over to you now, Danielle.
Okay, thanks, Alden. Okay, then my name is, it's working, yeah? Could you hear me well? Back also? Then I'll present a bit of the company, and Marie-Christine also will help me. If you have questions, I feel like during the presentation it will be good to answer, then don't hesitate if you have a question. Then the presentation will be who we are and where we come from. After, we'll talk about the biofilter to better protect the absorption bed, and we'll present the EcoFlow solution. Then the company are based on a culture very important for us, that everything we're doing is we call VTAE. VTAE is for vision, innovation, teamwork, agility, and execution. Then Premier Tech vision is committed to all our stakeholders. And we're there for a long-term business, and you'll see that the Premier Tech evolve and grow pretty rapidly. We're nearly 2,000 team members, and we're present in 14 countries. And we have over 200,000 square meters of testing, laboratory, and plants and offices. We're a stable company, ownership for 85 years. We have very good entrepreneurial approach, and we're rigorous into our organization. For the past 25 years, we grow at 11%. We have 24 manufacturing sites worldwide. And our turnover is 450 million Canadian dollars. We invest 17.5 million on our budget in R&D, and we have almost 200 people working in the R&D group, and we have a portfolio of almost 200 patents. We work with a strategic partner. We have 7 strategic partners ongoing. We sponsor R&D program through U.S. and Canada through universities. And just past 2 years, we did 8 strategic acquisition. Just to give you an idea of where we come from, the company is original for a peat moss company. The company was founded by Mayer Brothers, and Permit Peat Moss Corporation was found in New York. You could see here a picture of the first box of peat under the brand of Premier. And where it come from in Canada was from Insulated Limited Company. You have to know that the peat industry at that years was made for either isolation, then you put it in a wall, or people was using peat bricks for eating, then you're burning. then at that time of year, that's what the needs for a peat. Then Premier Peat Moss made the acquisition of insulation, and where it comes from Quebec, is Mr. Bélanger found the Tourbière Saint-Laurent, and mainly was producing peat moss for Premier under his brand. And that gives you an idea of how the way the peat was collected that time. They were making bricks, and the way they were making is they were destroying the peat bogs by the way they're collecting. Then in the year of 60s, Mr. Bélanger buy Premier and choose to use this company name. And we made several acquisitions of peat bogs through Quebec. And we developed equipment to collect the peat instead of using like trash. They're using vacuum. And this way we could generate it and regenerate the peat. Then you could see a peat bog in operation, like the brown zone. And also we are making peat bog in regeneration. And peat is collecting the sphagnum as a plant that's making grow and die, and it's we're using the sphagnum, and the sphagnum has very good properties for water absorption, and that's become the very good use on water treatment. Then the company has found everything around the peat. And this was made the generation of the three group of the corporation. Then you see the equipment group start making machine packaging to put the peat inside. Right now, we're number 2 worldwide in packaging. That we could package anything you could imagine, not just peat moss. It was creating also the water environment. I'll talk to you about the EcoFlow application. And the third group is the horticulture group. Then you could see where we stand for in 14 countries. The first group is the environmental, second group horticulture and industrial. Then us particularly, we have a nice presence here in Canada, US. But also we're based in Europe with the acquisition of the Aqua Purflow group. We just did it last year. Then in the year 85, we got a mandate for the government of Quebec to create the biofiltration using the peat moss. And it was really the birth of the EcoFlow. And you could see the first EcoFlow we did in that year. Then Marie-Christine will talk to you about the performance of our biofilter. We did different tests through the world, and in Europe we finished first and qualified the performance of the biofilter.
Can you hear me well? Yeah. So the EcoFlow system is probably one of the most tested technology in the industry. We went through several bench tests on the NSF bench tests for the US, in Canada. In fact, in Quebec, we went through the B&Q also, which is another certification process. And we get also the Marquage CE, which is the European standard certification. So I will just go and show you the results of this. And also we had several testing, third-party testing for field performance verification. So here you have the results of from the NSF 40 bench test for the class 1. There's 2 different classes of treatment there. And the requirement for the certification is to get in BOD and TSS 35 and 25. So as you see here, with less than around 2 milligram per liter of BOD and TSS, we're way better outperforming the standard. It wasn't a requirement to monitor fecal on the bench test, but we did it because it's a concern for most of the jurisdiction. And as you can see on the bench test, we got less than 1,000 counts of fecal. The BNQ certification is a slightly more stringent standard to pass than the NSF. NSF is only for 6-month testing, and the BNQ certification in Quebec is for an entire year, 12 months of test. And the protocol also is slightly more stringent with the testing condition. And there again, there's 5 different classes of treatment. We get our EcoFlow system classified for the class 3, which is called there in Quebec the secondary advanced treatment. And what we had to meet as treatment performance there was 15-15 for BOD and TSS, and for fecal was less than 50,000 counts. So you see here the influent concentration. The water were really representative of residential wastewater. And you can see, again, the consistency of the performance of the EcoFlow with around 2 milligram per liter for BOD and TSS, and around 1,000 counts, again, for the fecal. In Europe, it's pretty much the same thing. On the testing platform there, we got 4 for TSS and BOD 5, and 5 for BOD 5. And here are the different field monitoring program that we went through in different jurisdictions that were requiring some testing before getting our product approved. So in Virginia, the program that we had to go through there was 20 different sites tested for 18 months. And we had to control the EcoFlow effluent, as well as also what is coming out of the leaching bed or the absorption bed, depending on how you prefer to call it. So again, there we had 6 and 8 in BOD and TSS, and the fecal remained still around the 1,000 number. North Carolina was a field audit performance program on 30 systems randomly selected throughout the state of North Carolina. So you see, again, the reliability and the stability of the performance of the system. EPA was another demonstration program was in a Skaneateles Lake, which is in fact in the Fingers Lake, which is the potable water reserve for the city of Syracuse and New York. So the environment there is really, really sensitive, and our technology was preferred to other technology to be installed around those lakes there. But they still wanted to make a little demo that was performed by the EPA. So there's only one site there tested, and we have result for 3 years. So again, there you see it's always below 10, in fact, the results, and for fecal, again, in the range of 1,000 counts. With the certification of the BNQ, we have there's a annual audit, annual field audit program that has to be done to maintain the certification. And so far, we have our certification since 2006 in Quebec. So we have results since 2006. They sample 10% of the system installed up to 10, a maximum of 10 systems annually. So we have so far 73 systems that got sampled since 2006. And you see, again, below 10, we respect all of our criteria to maintain our certification. And since the very beginning, since when we started to market EcoFlow system, Premier Tech has always performed a voluntary sampling program. It's not a third party, it's really done by us. It's only to build a database of systems that are all randomly selected. So far, there's 140 sites that got sampled. Some of them have been sampled for more than 10 years. So they went through the entire life cycle of the filtering media. So again, you see the consistency of the results. This is just a quick comparison between the bench test results and the field testing results. The consistency of the result between TSS and BOD were pretty obvious, but what we want to show in that slide is really the consistency of the results also regarding the fecal, the way that the system performed for fecal removal. It's always, in the range of 1,000, sometimes less, but it's pretty consistent. And taking into account the high level of fluctuation of fecal, this is pretty good. There's another big testing platform that we went through in France, in Europe. And it was performed by the CSTB. It's a comparative study. What they did, in fact, they put 8 different technologies on the same bench test, and they tested them all together at the same time. And they compared the performance of all the technology. And our system, the EcoFlow, ranked first after all of these trials. So that you can see here the comparison of the different results. What we can see more from all of this, in fact, we'll have to come back to that slide later. Sorry about this. What is the most interesting here? You see the line on the top of the graph. This is the flow regime. So you can see all the different stress conditions that they induce to the system. Sometimes, the system was operated at the design flow rate, and sometimes they just did some peak at 200 at 2 times the design flow rate. Sometimes they had a period with no flow to simulate vacation, and or power outage. And so this is all the flow regime tested, and you can see the consistency. This is for our system. You can see the consistency of the results. Even after a break, a power outage, or or vacation period, after a rest period, the system start again and keep the same performance. Just start and maintain the performance. And this is the results for a under drain sand filter. This is the results that they got for the under drain, and you can see that after the rest period, it took a little time for the sand filter to start over and go back to its performance. And you can even see that it's a little more sensitive to the flow regime. Why this is because the peat act as a sponge. Our filtering media act as a sponge, so it maintains a certain degree of activity even after a rest period. While a sand filter, is just you know how act a sand, so it just drains out, so it has to start over again. And this is a comparison also from another comparison between the performance of the EcoFlow system and suspended growth system, ETUs that were on that comparative study. You can see how the results fluctuate from for the ATUs compared to the stability of the results according to the different stress condition that the system has to handle. To come back to this slide, sorry about this. In fact, it's pretty much the same outcome of all the ones I've just presented. Under the B&Q, you see the flow regime on the top, and you see again the different stress condition that they induce the system during the test certification protocol. So you see that after a power failure, the system again maintain its performance easily and is not really affected by this. On NSF, we have asked, after all the testing, the 26 week of testing for the certification, we gave an additional mandate to NSF to put under additional stress our system because we wanted to demonstrate really the reliability of our system. So we provide them with a protocol, to give some stress condition to go at 170% of the design flow. And we monitor the TSS and the fecal as well. And the system wasn't really affected with all of those additional flow. And we did that mainly for a special market, which is seasonal home. There's a lot of the seasonal home on the coast, and most of the time they are highly abused with wastewater flow. People are partying, and so that's why we did that. So I let Dan continue.
Thanks, Marie-Christine. Then you could see that we're very proud of the performance of our biofilter. One thing you have to remember is very stable on any condition. Now I want to talk to you about the solution on EcoFlow. I will talk to you about the fiberglass concept, talk to you about the concrete, and a new launch last year, are ready to install, meaning that all components are made in the factory and you could just plug and play, if I could use this expression. Then the open and closed bottom fiberglass, that's the one we install here in Nova Scotia. As Ryland said, we have almost over 150 system installed. It's good for up to 4 bedroom, and this has to be assembly on site. You could see 2 applications you could use. First, the system is compact, very flexible, economical, because you don't need like or big machinery to install it. High performance, durable, and could be renewed. That means that after the peat use, after we guarantee the peat for 8 years, then if you have to go to the site, it's easy to access the lid and vacuum the peat and change it then. On the application, you need a primary treatment, that is a septic tank, and then you have a secondary treatment. 2 applications could be absorption by the soil, that you need the open bottom, or you have to have a top discharge or gravity discharge. And in one case, you use a pumping station to go in like surface discharge, or you go gravity and you just use the exit. Here is show how the passes distribution are made. No energy needed. We have a tipping bucket, and the used water going to the tipping bucket and make a flip from one side and flip for the other side. And we design like plate who's making the waters going through the surface and using the maximum surface of the peat treatment. The second application, it's a concrete EcoFlow. It's also good for up to 4 bedroom. Need to be assembly on site, same way as we're doing for the fiberglass. This model we're pending for approval to launch it. The advantage on it is it will be a local manufacturing. And we should having this model approved like very, very shortly. Then the way it's work, you have your tank. The green part on the bottom has to put the crushed stone. The brown aspect is the peat media, and you put the plate of distribution and tipping bucket. The nice on this concept is the pump could be integrated. And if you need to have a pump, you don't need to put an extra pumping station as the fiberglass has shown. Or if you don't need pump, it could be a gravity discharge. And this is 2 type of application, a gravity discharge or you could use and put the pump inside the pre-designed chamber, and you could have like a top discharge. The third model we'll just launch is we call the polyethylene EcoFlow. It's a plastic EcoFlow, twice as compact, no energy as the other model. And as a result, Marie-Christine was showing to you, best suit for a seasonal home. The beauty on this model is lightweight. It's 2,500 pounds. Small machinery could manipulate and install it, and fully assembly on the factory could maximize your time or maximize the time of an installer to multiple the number of units per day for installation. Then we put in clear to show you the nice design around it. The rotomolding tank is supported by internal structure. You could see on the transparent model the central structure and also we designed the pump to be integrated. Then it's robust, small footprint, same advantage of the two other model, but the biggest advantage is it's come to your site ready to install. We made a lot of design on finite element, checking the deformation in real condition. Then you could see like where the deformation are, the red spot, very, very minimal who's making the design. This way, the design it's made with a lot of ribs. And again, I show you the internal structure, the way we be able to make this model so rigid and be able to support the weight of the peat and be able to ship it on installation mode. Three type of installation, same as the fiberglass. Concrete have only two type of discharge. This model would create three types, same as the fiberglass. We could make soil discharge, gravity discharge, or pump discharge, and the pump is integrated as the concrete solution in the equipment. Then just quickly show you how it's work. You have two axes, the main axis and the secondary axis for the pump. In transportation mode, those axes are reversed, and when you receive it on field, you have to reverse the axis, and you plug your in and out, and the job is done. Then you could see component, the chamber for the pump, the way it's worked. We also make some improvement for the float and the pump to make sure they have no interference between the pump and the float. And that show you in transportation, 9-unit work in the on a truckload. On warehouse could be stacked, and it's a good advantage for limited space for warehousing. Could for installer pick up at the depot? Very easy. You could go with the trailer, and you put in a trailer, you strap it, and then you're ready to go, and lightweight to manipulate. Some installation we did, very small machinery as I talked to. Easy to transport. This is it. And I want to take the opportunity to talk to you about the tertiary treatment. It's a treatment with UV lamp. And the innovation here about the DI-UV, it's a self-cleaning. And many of you have experience with lamp. And I'll show you the difference between conventional lamp and our new lamp. Before going on it is we make it easy for install. Then the lamp it's become in a tank, and you could see the lamp on the picture on the could say right or your left, and easy to transport and manipulate it. And you see the component, the way it's designed. Then the only thing you have to do is like the ready to install EcoFlow, you could put after the EcoFlow for a tertiary treatment. Then that's the difference between this lamp and a conventional lamp. First of all, conventional lamp, after a month of use, if you want to have a good treatment, you have to clean the quartz. It's not possible with the conventional. You have to go on site, you have to remove their lamp and clean the quartz. The DI UV with self-cleaning, they have a blade inside of the quartz who's making 6 rotations per day. That's equivalent of 2,000 cleaning per year. And it's a real advantage of compared to the conventional lamp. And the crossfire technology is to have 2 blades of mirror, making the exposition of a lamp more efficiency than only 1 lamp. Then this system, it's with 2 lamps, no inside, and it's totally outside of the water, and with the blade system making the system with high performance. And typical installation, primary treatment with septic tank, secondary treatment with the EcoFlow, and you put the UV lamp right after the EcoFlow. Need to be pumped, cannot be like a gravity discharge. We need to have a good flow, and that's the way it's worked. Then we have over 50,000 system of EcoFlow installed through Canada, US, and Europe. It's a compact system, high performance, permanent installation, and it's good to protect the environment. Then 3 solutions, polyethylene, ready to install, concrete, and fiberglass. Fiberglass is available right now for your needs. The 2 new models you'll get news soon that we're now approved in Nova Scotia. Come to meet us. We're right there in booths if you have questions, but we're here to answer. Also, one thing, Michel will talk to you at 2 p.m. about the commercial and community and municipal system that's complete the portfolio of our product. Any question? Yes? Yes? Concrete is up to 4 bedrooms, same as the fiberglass. The plastic model is for 3 bedrooms, but depending of the flow here in Nova Scotia, on some condition you could push it to a 4 bedroom. New models coming for 4 and 5 bedroom, but will be later this year. Right now, what's available is a little bit smaller than the fiberglass.
We can have also, you can install also 2 pods. You know, if you need to accommodate more bedroom, you can install 2 pods, 2 units.
Okay, question, yeah?
In the past, in Nova Scotia, Department of Environment has been sort of slow to accept alternatives if the property is large enough to accept the standard solution. Is your system now being accepted even if the land is large enough to take a standard septic field?
The answer is yes. Conventional system, it will probably take a lot of space to your yard. The advantage here on EcoFlow, it's compact. It's probably take like a third of a space of a conventional. And the beauty of an EcoFlow system, it's permanent. Because a conventional, we all know that maximally 20 years or 15 to 20 years, your system will start clogging. And they have no way that you could make a check of the performance on the system. Then yes, both could be installed. But if you look for a permanent solution, I recommend to push for EcoFlow. If I understand your question correctly? Yeah. Okay. Yes?
How long does the media last?
The media, we warranty the media for 8 years, but we know on the field that 75% of our installation are extended to 10, 12, and we have even more system with 14 years. Depending of the use of the system or seasonal home or stuff like that, but the warranty is 8 years. Behind? Yeah, go.
There are several ways of disposing of the peat. There are several ways of disposing of the peat. Since it's an organic material, it can be either composted, or it can be lime stabilized and used after that as soil amendment, or it can be also sent depending, because the way that the peat is changed is that you have a vacuum pump truck, just the same as the one that goes to empty the septic tank, the septic tank sludge. So depending on how the filtering media is handled at the time you replace it, it can also be sent to any septic sludge treatment facility.
Composting is the best answer we could use it, and we have a network of partner who's doing vacuum and peat replacement. Do you have a question here in this area?
Yeah, there seems to be some conflicting information here in Nova Scotia about where you can actually install EcoFlows. Some QP1s are saying you can put it in new construction. Some are saying only in retrofits. Can you speak to that? Is it both?
I will ask, is it both? But Alden also is here, local at SHA, that if you have any, is there. Alden could answer a lot. Okay, commercial, I will ask you to reserve your question for Michelle's presentation, because we have a lot of technology also to address the commercial aspect. Yes?
You use the tertiary treatment with the ultraviolet. Do you recycle the water after that? Or flushing toilet?
Yeah.
This pertains to local regulation. I would say that actually in Nova Scotia there's nothing, in that sense, but there's some project that got done in other province or states where the wastewater was reused. But
California, for example, reuse is permit, and yes, with the lamp UV you could do it. Nova Scotia, we have to wait for updating the regulation and get to reuse water. But the same lamp is also served for clean water. Same technology on the clean water. Selling to UV Pure brand, but it's the same lamp, and you could see the performance of the quality of the lamp. Does I answer well your question? Yeah. Other question?
Yeah. Replacement of the heat ones. What's the cost comparison?
Who could answer? The cost of peat replacement is 1,500 range.
1,500.
Yeah. Exactly depends of region and yeah. Yes.
And the replacement peat, I believe we do have sources of peat in Nova Scotia. Would it be replaced with a local?
Yeah, peat is local at SHA. They have the peat there to be able to replace it then. That's the depot we're going. And I show you like these during the history of the company, the peat. It's not like all type of peat media could make the performance that we're going. We have to be very selective of the quality of a peat. Then where we collect the peat on a peat bog, has to be a certain layer of the peat. And it's not like all kind of peat you could put it on EcoFlow and say, okay, I'll change it. For example, I'll say, I'll go to Walmart and I'll buy the Pro Mix made by Permatech, but it's not exactly the same kind of media. Then you could have questions from your customer, homeowner, saying like, how come that peat, whatever is different? Then if you need to have more detail about the quality of the peat, like the fiber we use it, because the properties of a peat is as a sponges and collect 4 times of its weight in water. Then we need to have a certain level of fiber inside of the peat.
I wanted to talk quickly, you talked about the quality of the peat in the last about 8 years, but you never mentioned that we go and monitor the quality or the status of the peat. I don't think that was mentioned.
I mentioned, say, that we could 70 to 75% are extended.
But it's, we evaluate that on site.
Oh, yeah.
Go to the site and evaluate the status of the quality.
We have a program of maintenance that every year we're going to a site, install it, and what we're doing is making regeneration of a peat. Then we're going there, we rake the system, putting the old peat below, and we regenerate it by the new peat. And every year we take picture of the quality of a peat, and we could monitor year after year like what's going in terms of the deterioration of the peat, because you have to know that the biomass are going somewhere. Then the biomass is stay on the peat, but after 8 to 10 years they have too much of sludges, and that's why we have to change the peat. It's not because the peat is no good. The peat in the nature is there and is always good. It's just like the biomass going mix it with the peat. That's why we have to change it. Is answered? Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah, so with the guy rigging around your septic tank, you know why it's there.
Yeah. It's not like the maintenance. Maintenance is not just a guy go over there, open the cover and check and say, okay, it's good, everything nice. No, we monitor. We also rake it. We make sure that they have no issue with the peat. And if they have issue with the peat, we will replace it.
Yeah, there's not too many systems on the market. You can take the lid off and see kind of where you're at as far as treatment.
Yeah.
It's doing what it's supposed to do. I mean, most of the time it's a gas, right? So this has the function to remove the lid, yeah, it's good.
Plus, we have a sampling that if we needed to make a sampling, we have access and you could see the quality of the water. Yes?
Do you get any nutrient removal?
The system does remove some nutrients, but how can I say that? It's not designed to remove, for example, nitrogen. It's not designed. We don't have the recirculation loop with the EcoFlow as it has been presented today. But it removes around 80%. It will nitrify because it's highly aerobic condition there. So it will nitrify the nitrogen up to 80%. But we don't have the denitrification loop into this. For phosphorus also, there's a part of the phosphorus that is consumed by the bacteria, but it doesn't remove phosphorus there. But it happens often that we will have less than 1 milligram per liter after the EcoFlow, but it's not designed to remove phosphorus.
And they have no regulation yet asking for the DP or DN. And when the regulation will be there, we'll be there also with other solutions. It's good. Thank you for coming.
Thank you.
Well, thanks very much, guys. We're going to break for lunch now. We're going to have a one hour break for lunch. It's going to be served in the